A recruit fast awake at 4 a.m. in a barracks, along with 80 strangers. Within seconds, boots hit the deck. For the next 16 hours, this teenager will burn through 5,000 calories while consuming meals in 10-minute windows under the watchful eyes of drill instructors trained to break human will. Over 13 weeks, the Marine Corps systematically destroys every limitation these recruits believe defines them. How do ordinary teenagers survive starvation training, sleep deprivation warfare, and psychological breaking points that would hospitalize most adults? How does extreme suffering forge unbreakable bonds instead of resentment? This video reveals the science behind survival systems that transform civilians into Marines, the engineered hunger protocols, deliberate exhaustion conditioning, and fear inoculation methods that prove human limits are mostly mental barriers waiting to be shattered. The moment a civilian steps onto the yellow footprints painted on the asphalt at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, they enter a machine designed for one purpose: systematic deconstruction. These footprints mark the last moment of individual identity. Everything that follows is engineered to strip away the civilian mindset that views comfort as a right and individual survival as the primary goal. Within hours, personal belongings disappear into boxes shipped home. Hair vanishes under electric clippers. Names become irrelevant. Recruits exist only as part of a numbered platoon. The physical transformation is immediate and visible. The psychological deconstruction takes weeks. Drill instructors are not drill sergeants yelling random commands. They are master psychologists who have perfected the science of breaking human mental barriers. Every interaction is calculated. The volume, the proximity, the specific words chosen, all designed to create cognitive overload that forces recruits to focus only on immediate compliance. The knife hand, a rigid pointed gesture inches from a recruit's face, is not theatrics. It creates a physiological stress response that bypasses rational thought and triggers instant obedience. When a drill instructor's voice fills a squad bay at maximum volume, recruits learn that hesitation equals failure. Their civilian instinct to question authority becomes a liability that must be eliminated. This systematic assault on individual identity serves a tactical purpose. In combat, Marines cannot pause to debate orders or consider personal comfort. Split-second obedience can determine whether an entire unit survives or dies. Boot camp conditions the nervous system to respond before the brain can interfere with doubt or self-preservation. The Deconstruction Protocol transforms "I think" into "I do," and "what's best for me" into what's required by the mission. Recruits discover that their sense of personal limitations was largely a mental construction. When these barriers collapse, they find reserves they never knew existed. A Marine recruit burns calories like an elite endurance athlete, often exceeding 5,000 per day through constant physical training, drill movements, and mental stress. Yet they must fuel this machine under conditions designed to simulate combat eating, rapid consumption under pressure with no guarantee of the next meal. The Chow Hall operates like a tactical exercise. Recruits march in formation, stand at attention until granted permission to enter, then have 10 to 20 minutes maximum to consume their entire meal. No conversation, no leisure, pure functional fueling, while drill instructors patrol every table, monitoring every bite. This creates a fundamental shift in the relationship with food. Hunger transforms from a distraction into background information. Recruits learn to consume maximum calories with mechanical efficiency, treating meals as equipment maintenance rather than pleasure. A typical dinner includes baked chicken, heavy gravy, mashed potatoes, vegetables, bread, and high-calorie desserts, designed for performance, not taste. The psychological reconditioning runs deeper than speed. Group punishment extends to eating. If one recruit fails inspection, the entire platoon may lose meal privileges or face shortened eating windows. Individual appetite becomes irrelevant when the team's survival depends on everyone maintaining energy levels. Water becomes even more critical than food. Dehydration kills faster than hunger, so drill instructors monitor urine color and force immediate consumption of multiple canteens when dehydration is suspected. Drink water becomes a constant command because the body under extreme stress loses fluid faster than civilian experience suggests possible. This systematic retraining teaches recruits that hunger is temporary discomfort, not operational limitation. They can maintain peak performance on minimal food and function effectively when eating opportunities are unpredictable, essential skills for combat environments where resupply is uncertain. The adaptation goes beyond physical tolerance. Recruits develop the mental discipline to prioritize mission requirements over personal comfort, understanding that individual nutrition needs are secondary to unit readiness and tactical objectives. Sleep becomes a weapon in the Marine Corps arsenal, not something recruits receive, but something strategically withheld to test human limits. The average recruit gets 5 to 6 hours of broken sleep per night, deliberately fragmented to prevent deep rest cycles. Firewatch rotations ensure no recruit enjoys uninterrupted sleep. Every hour, someone must patrol the squad bay, monitor for emergencies, and wake the next watch. A recruit might sleep from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m., stand watch until 2 a.m., then attempt sleep until the platoon wakes at 4 a.m. This fragmentation is more debilitating than simply reducing total sleep hours. The squad bay itself eliminates privacy and comfort. 80 recruits sleep in one open space with no barriers, no personal space, and no guarantee that drill instructors won't burst through the door at any moment, flipping lights and demanding immediate action. Sleep becomes a state of semi-readiness rather than deep rest. REM cycle disruption serves a specific purpose, conditioning recruits to function at high levels while perpetually exhausted. Combat operations do not respect sleep schedules. Marines must make life or death decisions and maintain tactical effectiveness when their bodies are screaming for rest. The adaptation is remarkable. Within weeks, recruits develop the ability to achieve micro-sleep during brief moments, standing at attention, waiting in formation, or during classroom instruction. Their nervous systems learn to extract maximum recovery from minimal opportunities. More importantly, they discover that their perceived need for 8 hours of quality sleep was largely psychological comfort rather than operational necessity. The human body can maintain complex function on far less rest than civilian life suggests, provided the mind accepts this reality instead of fighting it. This sleep deprivation training creates Marines who can operate effectively during sustained combat operations where sleep is limited, unpredictable, and often interrupted by enemy action. They learn that exhaustion is information to be noted, not a limitation that prevents mission completion. Pain in Marine boot camp is not punishment, it is curriculum. Incentive training transforms every mistake, every failed inspection, every moment of imperfection into immediate physical consequence. When a recruit fails to make their bunk properly, the entire platoon drops for push-ups. When someone moves too slowly, mountain climbers until muscles burn. When gear is not properly maintained, burpees on hot asphalt until sweat blinds vision. The physical suffering is secondary to the mental recalibration. Individual mistakes create group consequences, teaching recruits that personal comfort is irrelevant when team performance suffers. They cannot hide from consequences or deflect responsibility onto others. Every action affects the unit, creating powerful motivation to meet standards consistently. The volume and intensity of physical training push recruits beyond civilian pain thresholds daily. The obstacle course demands total body functional strength when muscles are already screaming from previous exercises. The confidence course forces recruits to conquer the fear of heights and complete rope slides from towers when their hands can barely grip. The combat fitness test simulates battlefield physical demands, an 880-yard sprint in boots and utility uniform, overhead lifts of 30 pounds ammunition cans until failure, and a 300-yard shuttle combining crawls, casualty drags, and equipment handling while exhausted. These events prove that the body can perform when the mind believes it's finished. Most importantly, recruits learn that pain is a temporary sensation, not a permanent limitation. Muscles recover, blisters heal, exhaustion passes, but quitting creates lasting psychological damage that undermines future performance when the stakes are highest. This pain threshold breakthrough creates Marines who understand that discomfort is part of operational reality, not something to be avoided or minimized. They can push through physical barriers that stop ordinary people because they have proven to themselves that temporary suffering does not equal permanent damage. Fear in civilian life is often treated as a stop signal, something to avoid or overcome before proceeding. Marine boot camp systematically rewires this response, transforming fear into tactical information that enhances rather than impairs performance. The gas chamber represents controlled terror. Recruits enter a concrete room filled with CS gas, a chemical weapon that causes immediate, intense physical distress. Eyes stream tears, noses pour mucus, skin burns, breathing becomes agony. Yet they must remove their protective masks, recite their name and social security number clearly, then don protective equipment properly before exiting. This exercise serves multiple purposes beyond gas mask confidence. It teaches recruits that they can think clearly and follow procedures while experiencing intense physical distress and psychological panic. Fear becomes background noise rather than system-disabling panic. The confidence course pushes different fear boundaries: high obstacles, rope climbs, and the slide for life, a high-angle rope descent into water, force recruits to act while experiencing height-induced terror. Hesitation is not permitted. They must move forward despite every instinct screaming retreat. Hand-to-hand combat training through the Marine Corps Martial Arts program introduces controlled violence. Recruits learn to deliver and receive impact while maintaining tactical thinking. They discover that fear of injury often causes more damage than the injury itself, as tensed muscles and panicked movement increase vulnerability. These fear inoculation protocols create a fundamental shift in threat assessment. Instead of avoiding scary situations, Marines learn to gather information while afraid and make tactical decisions despite emotional stress. Fear becomes useful data about environmental hazards rather than emotional paralysis. The result is warriors who can function effectively in terrifying situations because they have systematically trained their nervous systems to process fear as information rather than instruction. They feel afraid and proceed anyway because they have proven repeatedly that fear does not predict actual capability or outcome. The most counterintuitive element of Marine boot camp is group punishment. Innocent recruits suffering for others' mistakes. Civilian logic suggests this would create resentment and division. Instead, it forges unbreakable bonds that define Marine culture for decades after service. When one recruit fails inspection, the entire platoon performs incentive training. When someone cannot complete an obstacle, everyone repeats the course. When individual performance falls short, collective consequences follow immediately. This system appears unfair by civilian standards, but serves profound psychological purposes. Recruits rapidly learn that individual survival is impossible. Their success or failure directly affects 80 other people who share their suffering. This creates intense motivation to help struggling teammates rather than compete against them. Self-preservation expands from personal survival to unit survival. The bonding occurs through shared ordeal. When recruits are exhausted, hungry, and facing another day of impossible demands, they discover that small acts of assistance make survival possible. Helping someone clean their rifle, sharing technique for making a proper bunk, or offering quiet encouragement during moments when drill instructors are absent. These become acts of mutual salvation. The psychological mechanism mirrors combat reality. In battle, individual heroics can get everyone killed. Unit cohesion and mutual support determine whether Marines survive enemy contact. Boot camp conditioning ensures that protecting teammates becomes instinctual rather than learned behavior under fire. More importantly, shared suffering creates instant recognition between Marines that lasts lifelong. The understanding that someone else has endured the same systematic breaking of human limits creates immediate trust and connection. This brotherhood extends beyond military service because the shared experience of discovering hidden human reserves cannot be replicated in civilian life. Group punishment teaches the fundamental Marine principle. The individual Marine is strong, but the unit is stronger. Personal limitations become irrelevant when the team provides support, motivation, and backup capabilities that multiply individual performance exponentially. The Crucible is Marine Boot Camp's final examination, a 54-hour field exercise that tests every adaptation recruits have developed over 12 weeks. More than a test, it is proof that their perceived human limitations were psychological constructions that no longer apply. The parameters are precise: 45 miles of marching with full combat gear, 2.5 meals ready to eat for the entire duration, and a maximum of 4 hours of sleep per night. Recruits must navigate 36 tactical stations that test marksmanship, first aid, leadership, and problem solving while operating on empty reserves. Each station bears the name of a Marine hero whose story recruits must learn and recite before beginning the exercise. This connects their personal struggle to the larger legacy of Marines who faced impossible odds and succeeded through determination and unit cohesion. The sleep deprivation is crushing. After 2 nights of minimal rest, cognitive function degrades severely. Simple tasks become monumentally difficult. Yet recruits must continue making tactical decisions, caring for equipment, and supporting equally exhausted teammates. The food restriction forces the body into survival mode, operating on fewer than 1,000 calories per day while burning several thousand creates genuine starvation conditions. Energy levels plummet. Blood sugar fluctuations affect mood and judgment. Physical coordination deteriorates. Yet recruits continue marching. They complete tactical problems. They drag simulated casualties. They maintain weapons. They function as a unit even when individual capability seems exhausted. This is the moment they discover that their empty tank contains reserves they never imagined. The final event. The Reaper at Paris Island or mountain terrain at Camp Pendleton represents the ultimate proof. A steep, grueling climb when recruits believe they have nothing left. Every step requires a conscious decision to continue. Their bodies scream for rest. Their minds insist on stopping. But they climb. Step by step, supporting each other, they reach the summit where their drill instructors wait with a transformation that validates every moment of the previous 13 weeks. The Crucible proves that human limits are largely mental barriers that can be systematically dismantled and replaced with operational capability. At dawn, on a hill overlooking the final Crucible march, something extraordinary occurs. Recruits who entered as ordinary teenagers receive the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor emblem from drill instructors who have spent 13 weeks systematically breaking their limitations. For the first time, they are addressed as Marine. This moment represents more than ceremonial completion. It marks the successful creation of humans who operate according to different rules than civilian life suggests possible. These Marines have proven they can function effectively when hungry, exhausted, afraid, and physically depleted. Conditions that would incapacitate most people. The systematic destruction of human limitations produces specific capabilities essential for military effectiveness. Marines can make complex decisions while sleep deprived because their nervous systems have been conditioned to extract maximum performance from minimal resources. They can maintain unit cohesion under extreme stress because individual survival has been replaced with collective mission focus. They can endure physical hardship without performance degradation because they have learned to treat discomfort as information rather than a limitation. They can operate effectively in terrifying situations because fear has been transformed from a stop signal into tactical data that enhances rather than impairs decision-making. Most importantly, they possess unshakable confidence in their capability to overcome impossible odds. Having survived systematic breaking of every perceived limitation, they know that their actual capacity exceeds their mental barriers. This psychological transformation is the military's ultimate force multiplier. The broader implications extend beyond combat effectiveness. These Marines return to civilian life with a profound understanding that human potential is constrained more by mental acceptance of limitations than by actual physical or psychological capacity. They have experienced firsthand proof that people can endure and accomplish far more than ordinary life suggests possible. The Marine Corps boot camp system represents humanity's most effective method for discovering what people can achieve when their mental barriers are systematically dismantled and replaced with operational reality. It creates humans who embody the impossible, ordinary people who consistently perform at extraordinary levels because they have learned that their true limitations exist far beyond their imagined breaking points. Every year, roughly 40,000 teenagers step onto those yellow footprints, believing they understand their own limits. 13 weeks later, they discover those limits were largely imaginary. They walk across the graduation deck as Marines who have proven the impossible, that human potential is constrained more by mental acceptance than actual capability. The physical achievements are measurable, marching distances that would hospitalize most adults, functioning on sleep deprivation that impairs civilian performance, maintaining tactical effectiveness while hungry, exhausted, and afraid. But the deeper transformation is psychological, the absolute knowledge that when everything seems lost, When the body feels broken, when the mind screams for surrender, human beings still possess operational capacity. These Marines carry this knowledge beyond military service. In civilian careers, personal challenges, and life crises, they approach problems with unshakable confidence, rooted in tested experience. They have survived systematic breaking of every perceived limitation and emerged stronger. They know that quitting is a choice, not an inevitable result of difficulty. Would you survive this transformation? Could you function when your mental barriers collapse and reveal the reservoir of strength that exists beyond your imagined breaking point? The Marine Corps continues to prove, one recruit at a time, that the answer is yes, but only if you're willing to discover who you become when everything you thought you knew about your limits is systematically proven wrong.